right. So we're gonna bake the bread. This is our last part. And I'll just show you how we do it at home. It's pretty easy. You don't need much special. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. The way I bake it is on a pizza stone, and then you need something to trap the steam. You don't need to make steam. The bread itself, if you put it in a small enough receptacle over it, it'll trap the steam that the bread releases. So we're going to use a pizza stone, and then we're going to use a big metal bowl, or if you have a stock pot, works pretty well. Pretty much anything. You can do it in a Dutch oven, but you have to heat it up first, and the pizza stone that we're using is heated up. So the oven's at about 500, and it's been there for about half an hour. You could use a Dutch oven. It's just hard to get stuff in and out of a Dutch oven because you have to get the bread in, and it's 500 degrees. You might burn yourself. So pizza stone's really easy and pretty common and cheap if you don't have one. So yeah, we're gonna throw the bread in. Pizza stone's hot, bowl's ready, got a towel, and then the last thing, we need something to score the bread with. So a double-sided razor blade. I've got a bunch of these if anyone needs some. They're also cheap to pick up, but I buy like packs of 1,000. And then just a little stick, the end of like a skewer, and then put it through. So it's got a little bit of a curve to it, makes it easier to slice. You want these to be fresh. Like I'll do on each corner so you can flip it, because you'll really just be cutting with one, how do I do that? With one edge. So, you'll do about 5 or 6 loaves of bread, and then you'll switch the corner. So switch it often, a fresh one. It makes a huge difference. Yeah, so let's throw the bread in. Let's see if we can do this. So bread in the basket, oven. Let's see if that's the right height. Okay, so flip it over and out. Take your blade, pull it with your thumb right there. Score it however you want. Give it a good slice. Let's see if you can see that. And you can do decorative things if you want. And then take your bowl, put it over top. And that's it. I cover it for the first, it depends on the size of your loaf, but we did about 1,900 grams or so for a loaf. So about 20 minutes with the lid on, let it steam, and then take the lid off and finish it. And 15, 20 minutes more, anywhere from about 475 to 525 degrees is fine. And when it's finished, you could use a thermometer, but you could also just take it out when it's the color that you like. So mess around with it, see what you like. Different people like it differently. Some people like it burnt, some people like it blonde. So if you want it blonder, if you're more of that, turn your oven temp down a little bit so it doesn't color, but it still takes a little bit longer to cook. If you like it darker, turn up the heat. So any questions? I think we're baking again in 2 days. So anything before I go and disappear. You can type a comment in if you got some, or you can shoot me a text. A couple people are picking up starter. If anyone else needs starter or razor blades, I've got extra bench knives. I bought a bunch of tools to teach lessons, so I bought a bunch of like mixing containers and random things. So AW, yeah, 500 is a good temp. You go a little bit hotter, you can go a little bit colder. You do want it hot because you want good oven spring, and you want whatever you're using as your thermal mass for the bottom, whether that's using a pizza stone, but if you're using a Dutch oven or a combo cooker, even just a regular cast iron pan would work fine. You want that to be hot. Whatever's on the bottom, you want to be hot. And if you're using a thick lid, like a Dutch oven lid, then you want that also to be hot. But if you are using it thin, I'm just using a bowl on top of the pizza stone. The bowl doesn't need to be heated up because the heat's going to transfer almost immediately through that in the hot oven. You could drop it, the temperature. You don't have to. What I was saying is that it depends on what color you want your bread to be. If you want it to be darker, keep your temperature higher. So for a lean bread, and when we say lean, meaning it doesn't have a lot of oils, fats, sugar, fairly lean bread's going to be done around 205 degrees. So if you have a good thermometer, you can put the thermometer in there. About 205 to 210 is going to get good starch coagulation at that point. That temperature changes. It's about 195 degrees if you add, like if you're making brioche or something like that, that has a lot of fat in it. So if you want to know when your coagulation is good, you can use a thermometer if you want to be exact. But color is up to you. And color changed by your temperature, because higher temperature, the inside won't get to that temperature, but your outside will quicker. So you'll take on more color by the time it's actually done. So, all right, no more questions. I'll see you guys in a couple days. We'll do this again. Started moving along. That's usually a good plan. It depends on so if the bottom gets too hot, yeah, you can move it off the racks. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll do that because I'm baking multiple loaves. It depends on where the heat source of your oven's coming from. So if your heat's coming from the bottom, then yeah, generally your bottom's going to get too dark. And so I'll move it to a rack above the stone so that the stone stops the heat from immediately hitting on the bottom and kind of moves it around if your bottom's getting too hot. Same as if your heat's coming from the top. Like in my oven, heat comes from the back of the oven. So I have to rotate 180 degrees once it's kind of set, because otherwise it'll cook on the back end. So you got to mess with your own oven and figure it out. It's all a little bit weird and funky. Like mine, the temperature's low, the thermometer's off, everything's weird. So, all right, y'all. See you in a couple days.